Welcome to Positivity by Choice, achieving positivity by actionable, positive life choices. To be positive, don't just think positive, do positive. Today's positive choice: the art of compromise. Let's discuss 12 inspiring tips. Compromise. Settlement of a dispute by mutual concession, with each side giving up some demands or revising their opinion. If two children want the same object, we teach them to share. We teach them to compromise. Do we forget this lesson as adults? Some of us seem to. Some of us seem to believe that if we just repeat our demands louder and louder, that we're entitled to get everything we want, and the other person has some bizarre obligation to indulge us by acceding. And if the other person feels the same way, that somehow they are special and absolutely justified, and their desires take full priority over yours, that you have to give up everything they ask for. That's a prescription for accomplishing nothing. Two extremes, both convinced that the other has to yield, both close-mindedly convinced of the rightness of their position. Are you 100% of your positions 100% right 100% of the time? Of course not. So don't be obtuse and unbending. Be willing to compromise, to settle a dispute by mutual concession with each side, not just the other person, giving up something. Compromise is the art of dividing a cake in such a way that everyone believes he has the biggest piece. Ludwig Erhard. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everything is amenable to compromise. We all have core principles and ethics on which we should never compromise. But not every opinion is a core principle. Not every situation is non-negotiable. Too many people wear their refusal to compromise on anything, even a minor thing, as a badge of honor. What are they saying? I'm a 100%er. 100% right about 100% of everything, 100% of the time. Nonsense. How to effectively compromise. Here is a 12-step process that might work for you. First, consider how important is the issue. What are the consequences of no deal? This determines how important or not a compromise is. After all, if you can walk away with impunity, that puts you in a much stronger negotiating position if the other side is more motivated than you to come to an agreement. Number 2, step into their shoes. Think about the issue from their side. These aren't just empty golden rule words. Really take the time, make the effort to think about why the other person feels as they do. This isn't just being kind or soft, it's in your best self-interest. That's right, the more you understand what's going on in their head, the better positioned you are to minimize your concessions and maximize your negotiating efficacy. Number 3, listen. Ask their position. What are their wants and needs? It sounds obvious, but many of us forget this step. We assume that we know what the other person wants, and just as important, we assume that they know what they want. Not a prudent assumption. Until they articulate it, they may be vague on what their real goal is. Your questions can help fine-tune the discussion, enabling both of you to address the real issues, rather than squandering time debating things that are not pertinent or not at issue. Number 4, clearly articulate your wants and needs and what is not on the table. Be reasonable. That's really 2 steps, isn't it? Clear articulation is vital. The other person may be under a complete misapprehension of what it is that you really want. They may be perfectly ready to concede what you require without even a debate. Let them know what you're after. And be reasonable. Reasonable is, of course, a subjective term. I realize that. The best rule of thumb is, if you were offered those terms, if you switched places with the other person, would you find it acceptable? It should be like the 2 children sharing one piece of cake. One cuts it into two portions, the other gets to select which portion they want. A system that uses pure self-interest to motivate fairness. Number 5, clarify the mutual goal. Be solution-oriented. Number 6, find common ground. Identify the points on which you agree. Again, it may sound obvious, but it's worth taking the time to specifically clarify what you already agree on. Otherwise, time may be wasted discussing things that aren't really at issue. Plus, identifying common ground sets a positive tone for a cooperative, mutual effort as the discussion continues. Number 7, offer a concession, but insist on one in return. Compromise is, by definition, mutual. Number 8, if the other side refuses to reciprocate, withdraw your concession and try a different one. Explicitly withdraw it. Don't leave it on the table or give the other side any excuse whatsoever to say or think, that point is conceded and I didn't have to give up anything yet. Wrong. Concede nothing unless the other side shows willingness to reciprocate. Number 9, if the offer of a different concession doesn't gain progress, withdraw it, and now put the ball in their court. Ask the other side what they're willing to concede. They can't expect you to make offer after offer while making none themselves. They need to show initiative if they want an agreement to happen. Concede only in mutual increments. This is key. Don't give them any impression whatsoever that if they just hold out long enough, you'll give in. Do not yield to stubbornness and obtuseness. Number 10, if the other side is unreasonable, be willing to walk away from the negotiation. Don't capitulate. Again, compromise is mutual. If at first you don't succeed, try again, then quit. There's no point being a damn fool about it. Attributed to W.C. Fields. Number 11, regardless of the outcome, at the end of the conversation, express appreciation, even if just for their time. Number 12, be prepared for 100%ers. You know the type, 100% right, 100% of the time, and 100% entitled to 100% of what they want. Don't let 100%ers disparage the fact that you compromised. So be it. You got something done where their stubbornness would have led to nothing. Only fools think they'll always get everything their way. Effective negotiators focus on a fair, mutually beneficial result, and that's what they achieve. They achieve it by compromise. We'll finish with 3 easy exercises. Today, plan to settle a business, workplace, or personal dispute. Summarize and clarify the specific issue in 3 sentences or fewer. Then put item 1 from the list above in writing in 3 sentences or fewer. How important is this issue? What are the consequences of no deal? Tomorrow, do step 2. Put yourself in their position. Think about the issue from their side. The following day, have the conversation with the other person. Go through the remaining items on the list and seek a compromise. That's all for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked what you heard, if you know 2 people who need some positivity today, please share this video with them, or the website or podcast Positivity by Choice. Let's build a community of people who don't just think positive, but do positive. I'll see you again on Thursday when we continue our discussion of the art of compromise. Check out positivitybychoice.com. Discover 100 actionable, positive life choices for a better you and a better world.